Should you buy or should you continue renting? There are so many factors to consider when asking yourself this question. Trust me, I've been through it myself. What is right for one person is not necessarily going to be right for the next person. My goal in this video is to break down the facts in kind of a clear and easy to understand format so you can make the best decision for yourself. My first recommendation is going to be tune out other people. What? Yes, tune out other people in your life. Don't get me wrong, your inner circle means well, but they are not you. They have different lives, different financial goals, different experiences, different life goals, different dreams. You got the idea, kind of. What worked for them may or may not work for you. Maybe not tune them out entirely, but just make a decision based on yourself, not what worked for them. And just to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to your wealth advisor or your financial advisor, maybe your tax planner, your attorney, things like that. My second recommendation to you is going to be to clearly identify as best you can your time frame to own a house. This might surprise you coming from a guy who makes a living selling real estate. I would think twice about buying a home if you are in it for the short term. Even with the best of plans, a lot can happen in a short amount of time. For example, if I asked you in, say, late 2019, what's your 2020 going to look like? What would you have said? See my point? The real estate market cycles, sometimes they rise quickly in a boom, and sometimes they fall fast in a real estate market crash. You don't want to be caught in faulty planning scenario where you buy high and you find yourself having to sell low. Sometimes you don't have a choice and life makes that decision for you. But why stack the odds? My third recommendation is to make an honest assessment of your life and determine if owning a home actually matches your lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, are you ready to tackle the maintenance required in owning a home? There is no maintenance person to call. If something goes wrong, it's on you to fix it. And all upkeep and repairs are 100% your responsibility. Also, how's your job situation looking? Being a homeowner is not cheap. Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Do you have student debt, credit card debt, things like that? Maybe you're working for a startup that's hanging on by the skin of their teeth. If you're employed today but could be employed tomorrow, you might want to consider putting home ownership on the back burner. And don't forget flexibility as well. Being a renter makes it generally pretty easy to pack up and move to the next opportunity. When you own your home, you have a lot more to consider, such as renting it out, hiring property management, possibly putting it on the market to sell. Very different than being a renter. My fourth recommendation is going to be to check out one of the thousands of online rent versus own calculators available on the internet. Trust me, there's 1,000 of them. I looked at them before I put this video together. There's probably going to be a break-even or a shift to positive territory, no matter where you're thinking about renting or buying. Some markets can be close, but some can be drastically different. For example, in my own market here in San Diego, I just took one for a quick test drive, and the cost to rent a luxury bedroom apartment in the city here, like a new build, might run you, let's say, like for a bigger one bedroom, might be around $2,800 a month. I know that's expensive for other parts of the country. The cost to purchase a similar condo in the same area would end up probably on a mortgage would be about $2,700, and I'm assuming a lot of things here, but I just want to illustrate the point. On paper, renting appears to be the much better option, especially because you have to consider not only mortgage payment, you're paying taxes, HOA dues probably, maintenance costs, etc. But after a few years, 3, 4, maybe 5 years, the costs start to favor buying. The costs continue to shift kind of each year after year, and they start to shift drastically. Something to consider carefully in your target neighborhood or city. Just remember this, your costs associated with renting are pretty simple. You rent in most cases, a deposit up front, but a rent. So the costs to account for in owning are usually going to include some sort of considerable down payment on year one, which can vary depending on the loan type. I mean, you could have 0% down if you're using like a VA loan, 3.5%, 5% if it's like an FHA loan. Even some conventional loans now have like 5% down. But anywhere up to, let's say, like 20%, 25% is normal. Even though on average, most current property sales right now that are happening are less than 20% down. So that's a real estate myth. So keep that in mind. But you also will need to consider your yearly, when you own your yearly property taxes, any potential monthly homeowners association dues or assessments. closing costs associated with the purchase, insurance costs, and other fees. This list might seem long compared to renting, and it probably doesn't look great, but I assure you, after a couple years, as I said before, add this list up and it starts to look like peanuts compared to the amount a landlord might raise the rent to. That leads to my next important point. Landlords can raise the rent, and they can raise the rent frequently. Some markets have some form of maybe like rent control, but that only helps so much. A lot of landlords are not part of that, or they're not required to follow that. When you own your own home, your payment never goes up, unless you agree to some type of funky loan, which I don't recommend. Your mortgage payment is probably going to start to look pretty small as the years go by relative to like a comparable property and a rental price. Time favors the homeowner in almost every scenario. All right, to wrap this video up, I just want to present you some reasons to buy and some reasons to rent. So renting is a better situation for some, no doubt about it. Buying's going to be a better situation for others. So here's a case I kind of put together, or here's some reasons to buy and some things you need to keep in mind. So buying a home is the most common path in most cases to building equity. As a homeowner, every time you pay down principal on your mortgage, you are purchasing a greater percentage of your home. It's almost like forced savings in a way. This is a significant benefit compared to renting, for which you pay that rent, you receive a place to live, which is huge, but there's not really a whole lot of long-term value. So also too, when you buy, homeownership tax incentives are real. So homeowners can deduct, as of the time of this recording this video, mortgage interest on new loans up to $750,000, which has decreased in the last couple of years, recently. But likewise, you can usually receive a deduction for property tax or state property tax and local taxes. I can speak. And also in mind, you don't skip the fact that you own your own place. So if you're tired of answering to your landlord, I know I was, you call the shots. You make the rules. It's yours to do with as you please. HOA permitting, of course. And also too, when you buy, there is some stability in those costs. Let's say you're in a long-term fixed mortgage rate or mortgage. Once you lock in a mortgage rate, your annual costs become reasonably consistent and very predictable. Renting costs can shift substantially over time. Remember my comments on your landlord before? All right, so here's going to be my case for renting, or some points to keep in mind for renting. So when you rent, you absolutely have fewer upfront costs. No doubt about it. You pay rent, and that's generally all you pay, other than a security deposit in most cases, maybe some pet rent. This frees up capital to invest elsewhere. This could allow for a more kind of diversified portfolio. You also have the flexibility that renters benefit from in shorter time commitments and the ability to move around. It's pretty easy. You rent one place, lease ends, you move on to the next. No maintenance as well. When you're renting, hey, that's kind of on the landlord. This is a big one. This is going to save you time and money and a lot of frustration, especially depending on the size of the job. Some believe the housing market is overpriced right now as well. So real estate prices have definitely increased. We've been on an upswing for 12 years and counting at the time of recording this video. You're going to pay for your home, more for your home right now, no doubt about it. Some are talking about a real estate market crash right now. Others disagree and think we are on a perpetual increase. Who knows? Time will tell. There was definitely a time in the not so distant past that owning your home was definitely the benchmark for financial success. While pride of ownership is still a thing, it doesn't make sense for everyone. So don't buy into it when people say, oh, you gotta buy, you shouldn't rent. That's not always the case. It doesn't always make sense for everyone. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you disagree, let me have it. I love it. I love all the comments, good and bad. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and smash that like button if you found this content useful or entertaining. I publish videos at least once a week, usually more. Have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next one. And before I forget, which I did, don't forget the YouTube is recommending another video to you. I don't know about you, but they have me absolutely pegged and figured out. When I open YouTube, I'll in the browse section, suggested videos. I mean, it's all stuff I want to watch. So anyway, that video is going to be right here. So YouTube thinks you'll like this video. You tell me if you like it or not. All right, guys, out.